Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for taking time out of your day. We are super excited to share this new version of the Transparency Catalog with you. It has been in the hopper, so to speak, since we launched the catalog first in November 2016 at Greenbuild. When we launched it, it had 360 manufacturers because at the time there were only 360 manufacturers in North America who had invested in creating EPDs or some kind of material ingredient disclosure. So fast forward 2 years, a little over 2 years, there are now over 1,060 manufacturers who have invested in product transparency, either EPDs or material ingredient disclosures. But just as important as the increase in the number of manufacturers is the importance of it being manufacturers across most of the primary master format divisions and sections, which means now was finally the time to implement that kind of filtering, because actually up until now, having had that kind of filtering wouldn't have provided a very good user experience. So now the industry has evolved. There really is, we like to say product transparency is nearing the tipping point. All the major manufacturers across master format divisions have either gotten started or have done a lot, which now makes it possible for architects, engineers, contractors, and owners, otherwise known as building professionals, to finally have a selection of products across, again, most divisions to be able to build truly greener and healthier high-performance buildings. So the next thing to really take into account is if we're going to drive adoption and reward manufacturers for making these products, it has to be super easy to do. And today, that's not the case. Today, I'm sure every one of you who are on the call use a bunch of different websites, a bunch of different tools to find and save and collect and reuse and share. And it takes a lot of time. And even then, what we've learned after all of that research on the front end of the project, it's not always guaranteed that those high performance products with transparency information actually get into the spec. And moreover, whether the contractor actually has those products that you spec'd in the submittal that comes back to you, that's also not always the case. And then you spend a bunch of time doing research to make sure the substitutions actually do provide an equivalent solution to the products that you specified, but they're not always going to be the ones with transparency information, meaning that that manufacturer whose products you really wanted to use and who you wanted to reward, at the end of the day, didn't get into the project. So we have a very good understanding of the challenges that manufacturers face and the challenges that you face, and that's because we spend hundreds of hours literally interviewing, observing, learning about the way each of your constituencies work, and have created a solution that provides value for both manufacturers and building professionals. Because ultimately it's this virtuous cycle of supply and demand. And if the manufacturers who are investing in transparency don't get their products into the spec, and into the building, there's a certain amount of risk that they're going to stop being transparent, which really means that they're not going to be doing the technical studies, the life cycle assessments, and the material ingredient disclosures that they truly do need to do to understand the environmental impact and the material potential risks and hazards of their products today, it's only through doing those technical studies do they have real information to go off and improve those products so that we really do have a choice of higher performing, greener and healthier products to go into buildings that really will be higher performing. And ultimately, the disclosures that get created and the way that data gets provided to you to be able to make better informed comparative decisions needs to be simpler, more standardized. It needs to be contextualized to give it meaning and comparability. And for any of that to happen, all the data has to be in the cloud so that we can apply computation and let technology do what it does. And if you think about all of these technical disclosures today, all the data is still encoded in PDFs. So for those of you who were kind of wondering, wow, why did they add every single EPD in North America to the transparency catalog? What we've done is we've added links to every single EPD in North America from all the program operators, because the first step in creating a truly useful solution in the cloud and applying technology to do its thing, the first step is just to get everything all in one place. And then we can move forward from there. So with that preamble, the agenda is pretty short. Going to talk just a little bit more about manufacturers' challenges. Then we're going to talk about how the catalog is curated. It's quite a different approach from other resources. Talk a little bit about the importance of aligning the way that we've implemented master format filtering aligned with MasterSpec. And then we'll do a short demo. I'll show you each of the 4 types of listings, show you how the filters work, and then just give you a quick referral over to the product transparency credits page, which is a super handy resource for knowing which green building rating systems offer credits for product transparency and which disclosures are eligible for earning those credits. So, I don't have to tell you that you spend a lot of time looking for products. We feel it's important to point out, particularly to manufacturers, that you're not looking for disclosures. You're looking for products with disclosures. And it's typically not very easy to find all of a manufacturer's products with transparency disclosures in one place on their website. It's because most websites weren't designed in contemplation of the type of user who would come looking for that type of product expressly. And once you get those disclosures, I haven't yet met a lot of people who are outside the realm of being, LCA consultants or material ingredient disclosure consultants who really can take those disclosures and make some real meaning out of them to be able to make a good assessment about, which one has better environmental performance, which is another way to say which has less impact, and which have more limited hazards and risks due to materials. Now, certainly the rating systems make that a little bit easier to do. The straight up disclosures, not so easy. And so manufacturers who have spent a whole bunch of time to create these disclosures, those are the technical people in the organization creating them. But ultimately, it's their sales and marketing people. And so the spec reps who call on you to do lunch and learns and educate you about their products, they're the ones who need to be able to understand the company's commitment to environmental sustainability and material health. They need to be able to understand what product transparency is, how those disclosures get used in the green building rating systems. And they need to understand, just as you do, already that these two attributes of product transparency, environmental performance, and material health are in fact performance criteria. Just like functional performance, safety, aesthetics, things that people traditionally use to make comparative decisions, now environmental performance and material health are the latest ones. And manufacturers' reps need to be as knowledgeable and as conversant about those attributes as everything that they already know. So that's just more for them to learn, more for them to understand. It's just as technical and hard for them as it is for anybody else. So they've really these manufacturers have put a lot on the table to bring these products to market and make them available. And so Sustainable Minds, what we've been working to do is really to make it easy to connect you with them. And now to eliminate the burden of time and complexity and difficulty, and to deliver really useful tools that you use day in and day out. You rely on tools to be useful and help you get your work done in an efficient and effective way. And you should have that expectation for these kinds of tools that help you find greener and healthier products, get them into your project, and get them into the spec. So in the Transparency Catalog version 2, our highest priority in the design process was to make it super simple and really to figure out how much can we let people do and find in one click to make it really easy based on the way we understand the way they work, the way they prefer to work, and to deliver capabilities that people may not have been able to imagine, but meet the requirements of compressing time and making things simpler. So in just a couple slides, I'm going to do a quick description of the master format, MasterSpec alignment. But we've spoken with so many architects, engineers, specifiers, contractors, real estate owners, and the challenges are really common to everybody, which is spending a lot of time researching on the front end. We've been learning a lot about how the role of specifier has been changing, that large firms still have people who are specification experts. Smaller firms, not so much. We're seeing kind of the democratization of the specification process, where the design team is also taking on the responsibility of creating the specifications. And the tools that we've seen, the ad hoc tools, the homegrown tools that we've seen used inside of design organizations, where people are doing research, they're collecting information about products in spreadsheets and Word documents, emailing them around, and then this challenge of getting those products that have been prioritized to get into the spec. The specifier oftentimes can't use the products that have been selected, and so they go back to the products that are in the Office Master, or the Office Master, certain sections are out of date because no one's keeping them up to date. And so there's just a lot of activity that just goes on behind the scenes that does not directly contribute to getting a project done with people being utilized to the best of their capabilities and using their best skills for the highest purpose. So what we've done is we've created the most inclusive product transparency solution by creating a listing in the catalog for every single manufacturer in North America who has invested either in creating EPDs or material ingredient disclosures. And the way we do that is Sustainable Minds has experts in life cycle assessment. We are a program operator, and we have deep expertise in material ingredient disclosure. So we continually monitor every program operator's website, every material ingredient rating system and disclosure program website. And one or more times a month, when any new manufacturers create disclosures who haven't done it yet, we create a free listing for them. And the purpose to doing that, again, is to show you, the industry, how many manufacturers have gotten started so that you know you have a choice, and to do the manufacturer, give them a bit of a leg up by getting their brand into a place where you can find them. But ultimately, what you're looking for, again, are products with transparency disclosures, not just transparency disclosures. This is just a quick screenshot of our methodology. We continually monitor the green building rating systems to see what credit language, what new credits are being created, what the credit language says. And again, collecting data from all of the disclosure and rating systems that have been identified by the green building rating systems as their documentation being acceptable for those credits. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that pretty much everyone on this call is familiar with both MasterFormat and MasterSpec. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about them, but for the few of you who would benefit from a little bit of explication, MasterFormat is the Construction Specification Institute's master numbering system for every product type and category that will go into a building. And MasterSpec is the AIA's master specifications, the functional descriptions for how these products, organized by MasterFormat, need to function and perform, so that people doing specification know what the functional requirements need to be, so they can go out and find the manufacturers and the products that meet those requirements, and you get to make that recommendation about whose products you'd like to see in the building. So it turns out that there are not as many MasterSpec sections as there are MasterFormat divisions and sections. And we've learned that many manufacturers are not sure all the time about which section their products go in. And so sometimes they'll just put it up at too high of a level. Sometimes they'll put it in multiple sections. Now, that's okay when the product actually has multiple applications. And we've also learned that building professionals also don't necessarily know what section a particular kind of product is going to be in. And this is more the case when we find design teams or project teams who are responsible for the specification. That's less the case when there's a professional spec writer on the job. They know exactly which sections to be looking in. So again, the design of this solution had to be flexible enough, or must be flexible enough on an ongoing basis for people doing research and early in selection specification, people who are not that knowledgeable, but who have the responsibility now for specification, as well as those experts who need to efficiently get that specification done. So, the challenge is the way that disclosures get created is based on the way the product is manufactured. So a single disclosure, whether it's an EPD or an HPD, can represent certainly one product, but it can represent 10, 100, even thousands of products, depending upon the way the manufacturer organizes its product lines, its groups, and how they make them. So it's very often unclear, even to the manufacturer's reps themselves, which products go with which disclosures. And we know that that's certainly, if they're not sure, that's hard for you to tell as well. So when we first designed the catalog, that's actually the primary problem that we went about solving. And so I'm going to show you it's a screenshot of one of the standard listings, just so you can see the components in it. It's designed to send you back to the manufacturer's website where you can find all the detailed product information on their website, which is really should be the single source of truth and where you're going to find everything. We don't think that a manufacturer should have to manage a lot of content about their products someplace else that isn't their website. So this table is really like a lens that pulls together in a matrix all the products organized by master format sections. This is a horizontal. We append the manufacturer's product group or brand name so that you know what they call their products in that section. So that's the horizontal. And then the vertical axis is, do they have and what types of disclosures do they have for each product? So when you click here, you're going to go right to the product page on the manufacturer's website. You click here, you get the EPD, declare label, cradle to cradle, et cetera, et cetera. So what we've done is really aggregated the links to everything you need in a very simple, organized way. And now that we've added the filtering, notice what we've done. So here's, again, these individual sections. And when you look at a listing, you can look section by section. But now when you filter, and we're going to go right to the catalog in a moment. When you filter by division and section, what we do is we pull that section from every manufacturer's listing who has products in that section. So they all show up in those filtered results, and they're ordered by featured brands are always first, the standard listings with products are always second, and ordered alphabetically, followed by the free listings that don't have products, but all of the EPDs, all the manufacturers who have EPDs, there's a link to the EPD, and below that are all the manufacturers who have one or more kinds of material ingredient disclosures. And what we do is we give you links to their websites. So you can go to their websites to find those products, but we also give you links to an email that you can send them suggesting that they might want to consider adding their products because it's going to be easier for you and them to get their products into the spec. So here I am at the listing. You can still see everything in the catalog. This index is on the front page. I have a pet peeve personally about coming to websites where they just give you a big search box interface and you have to search and figure out how to get the best results. So we've designed this so that you will never get no results. That's a very poor user experience. So, and it's also designed to be super flexible in terms of where you are in the design and specification process. So let's say you're in early research and you just want to come and find, okay, well, show me every manufacturer in Division 7. I don't even have to pick a section. I just want to see what's going on in Division 7. And so in one click, you're going to find out that there are 113 brands and 695 products available to you today across all of the sections in Division 7. You can look at all the brands and say, okay, great, this is good to know. Look, I just only want to see Knopf, Manson, Stego, Novik, Hilti, Henry, whatever. And you can just view by brand. So now I've got my 6 brands and there are 30 products. Another way to filter, and what I'm demonstrating is that all of these filters are interconnected. So we start with master format. And so, by the way, obviously, if you're later in the specification process or even early, but you really want to drill in and find, now I want to find the brands, find my 3 brands and their products in a particular section, you can drill in and do just that. And you can see that the count continues to refine itself, 17 brands, 48 products. The way that we've designed the filtering is a little bit interesting. I'm going to say a lot interesting. I'm going to go out on a limb here. What we wanted to do, again, because of learning that on both sides there was often some uncertainty about what sections to find products in, what we opted to do was display everything in a section, and then so that you can see every brand and every section that actually has products with transparency disclosures. And then you can start to turn off the sections that you don't want to see to ultimately filter down to the one or ones that you do want to see. And then you can start to do your research. Click right here. Because Knopf is a featured brand, you're going right to their transparency report, which is an EPD. You can scroll through, and here we're into some of the free listings, and you click there, but you can get that EPD right away, which I downloaded. It's down here. Because the browser affords the ability to put up a tab every time you click on something, you can do some really rapid comparisons. Every time you click a link, it's going to throw up a tab with that content in it. And now let's say you want to just filter by rating system, because let's say you're winnowing down into the division, but you're working on a lead V4 project or a living building project, and what you really just want to see is who's going to have products that meet those rating system credits. So I can click there, and it's going to show me, well, there's still 16 brands and 43 products. Well, let's see how many of those will also give me that credit. Now it's down to 2 brands and 19 products. And once again, I can say, okay, Owens Corning, board insulation, let me learn more about it. And I go right there to the Owens Corning product page. I'm going to let you do your own exploring, although the last thing I will mention is this product name field is a filter that affects the rest of these other filters. So a use case for this might be, I know there's a brand name or a product name that I can't think of or that I knew before, or I just want to find products that have a particular keyword. This field searches the product name field only. So if I just did that, it's going to show me all the products that have that word in them. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can rapidly filter down to seeing just the brands and just the products that you want to see. And then, if you're done with that section, you just clear filters and, start over and go someplace else and start filtering through. I'm going to bring your attention quickly to the About page. Just take a look here. This just quickly roughs out the different use cases. It also just walks you through the different types of listings. Notice there's a little key on this page and on the results page that again describes what's a featured brand, what's standard listing, the two types of free listings. So you can see the typography and then the how the results are displayed in the filtered results. And here's the last thing I'll show you is this product transparency credits page, which really is just kind of a big guide to the green building rating system and the credits. So these links will take you to the credit language or the website for each of those rating systems. And then below that walks through each of the disclosure types, again, with links to the technical standards, links to the organization whose program it is, as well as the data that you're going to see about each of these disclosure types in the listing table. And then it shows you the rating system's eligibility for each type of disclosure that is accepted. Watching the interface, you're going to see tool tips in a number of different places. In the product manufacturer's listings where they have HPDs, this tooltip is always right next to that link to the HPD so that you can quickly decode the attributes of that HPD. But our technical experts ensure that all of the disclosures that are in the catalog are compliant with the rating systems, as well as with their valid disclosures. So I invite you to have at it, use the catalog, share it with your colleagues. It's free to use. There's no login. We are deeply committed to privacy. Our business model is never, ever going to be to sell data or analytics to third parties. We want no barrier to entry, free to use, no login, one click. Please specify these products from these manufacturers who are making higher performing products, and then let them know. So have a great day. Thanks for your time. There are a few questions on the way out. If you have a minute or two to leave us your thoughts, that'd be great. And we look forward to meeting each and every one of you at some point in time. So have a great day.